We've seen how devastating fires can be in our own lifetimes, and the headlines where fires move faster than help can arrive. Now imagine the help doesn't exist yet. No sirens, no stations, no professionals. Welcome to 1730s Philadelphia, where if your house caught fire, your only hope was that people nearby cared enough to run towards it. Let's talk about how that uncertainty forced a city to come together and how Philadelphia became the birthplace of America's first volunteer fire company. Welcome to the 52 Weeks of First podcast, brought to you by Philadelphia's Historic District and Visit Philly. I'm Marisa Magnatta from WMMR's Preston and Steve show. I'm also a former volunteer firefighter, and that's why I'm so excited to chat with you about America's first volunteer fire company. Our guest today is Jason Patton, a South Florida-based firefighter and paramedic with over 17 years experience on the job. He's the creator of Fire Department Chronicles with over 15 million followers and generating 55 million monthly views, and the VP and co-owner of Fire Department Coffee. He's someone who's spent years talking openly with first responders across the country about culture, mental health, and what it really means to show up for your community. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you so much for having me.
So when you hear about America's very first fire company, what do you think of?
Culture, tradition, the things that led us to who we are today. The fire service from its beginning, from the second you decide to get into it, that's what we preach. We love the things that got us to the point that we are today. We look back at the reasons, the safety procedures that we now have, and everything that our previous firefighters, the previous captains, and people that put their lives on the line have done to make it the best it possibly can be, not only for us, but for the people that we serve.
Yeah. And we think about right here in Philadelphia, it just takes one or two people collectively to have the ingenuity to think maybe we need more than just neighbors showing up with some buckets of water when a fire breaks out.
Yes. And that's it. I think a lot of people forget that there was a period, there was no 911 to call. There was nobody to call. You just went outside and went, oh crap, my house is on fire. And you hope that your neighbors are not nice enough to grab some buckets, put their lives on the line and jump in. So it's changed a lot. It's definitely a lot better than it used to be.
Yeah, before fire extinguishers and sprinklers, there was just open hearths and candles blowing everywhere. If a gust of wind came and blew the wrong way, your whole bed that was probably made of hay just blew up and set your whole house on fire. I mean, in reality, could a neighborhood put out a house fire that was happening right in front of them?
I mean, anything's possible, but it's definitely going to be a lot harder than it is today with hoses. Obviously, if the things that are burning has changed over time, it's going to be a little bit easier to put them out, or the fire's not going to spread as quickly. But we know of like the Great Boston Fire, Great Chicago Fire. Those were definitely set new precedents and reasons why we needed correct fire responses.
And it took somebody like Ben Franklin, who actually wrote a letter to a newspaper, who said he was a wise old man to spark community initiative and to gather volunteers, men only, by the way, to get them equipment, share costs, and make actual rules of how you would fight a fire. Now, what could you imagine? How did it start as a community, as a team? Do you think that, one person was on a bucket? Were they making a bucket brigade where you would have a water source and pass the buckets down?
I would imagine it started as an utter crap show. That's something on fire. Holy crap, we need to put this out. That's definitely the way it started. And obviously, I love that you brought up the rules, because that is so important. SOPs and SOGs, creating traditions and training practices that say that when your heart rate is above a certain amount, your cognitive abilities will actually start to drop. So we go into fight or flight. Holy crap, we got to do this. Everyone just started throwing water on it, but wasn't as effective because they were just throwing it through the window, so on and so forth. So to create those procedures was very smart. And again, and I said this from the beginning, I've been a career firefighter for 17 years now. I give so much respect to those people because they were putting their lives on the line for free. There was no one coming to give them any money or anything extra for what they did, but they did it because they wanted to help their fellow man and woman. And that's the reason, or the way that all of this began. And it's so cool.
Yeah, it is great that our society and this community of firefighting was built on volunteers. You hear an alarm, you hear a siren, you hear a yell, whatever it may be, and you decide that you want to run to the problem and help whoever is in dire need at the moment.
Yeah. And you think that, volunteer firefighting started in the 1700s. The first career fire department wasn't established until the 1850s. So they did that for a long time. And even today, in all of the incredible society that we have today, 75% or 70% of all firefighters are still volunteer. Same with EMS. A large portion of EMS is volunteer. So there's still people today working their 9 to 5s, waking up at 2 a.m., going to fight a fire, and then coming back and getting back in bed with their families. So it's amazing.
Wow, you just made me think about, in the 1730s up until the 1850s when these fire departments, were created, you wouldn't know that a neighboring town was in distress until you looked up and saw a plume of smoke filling the air. And now you're just one radio signal away and you can have somebody responding in just a moment.
Yeah. And it's fun to see the progression of stuff. Obviously then they were running to the neighbors or trying to get as much attention as possible. And then you obviously get towards telephones. But when cell phones weren't invented, like in New York, you had boxes. You pulled the box that sent the fire department to that box area. That's how they knew where to respond to. And then we get to cell phones and so on and so forth. So it's cool to see human ingenuity over time to be able to try to get as many people on scene as fast as possible to be able to help as many people as possible.
From bucket brigades to running water to now, what kind of equipment are you working with on a daily basis?
So, and that's what's fun is within the fire service, we keep tradition based off of the things that happened in the past. We improve upon them, like bugles. You say bugles on chiefs. Well, the bugles were the chiefs or the officers that were on scene. They were speaking to each other through bugles, yelling through bugles before we had radios and modern ways to be able to speak with each other. We still call fire hydrants plugs because back in the day, we used to have large logs that were hollowed out to run water through, and they would get the plug, they would pull the plug out, and they would get whatever water they needed to be able to put the fire out, and they would put the plug back in there. So we still call fire hydrants plugs because of that. But today, we're working with anything you can think of. Even the biggest thing that we have on scene is going to be a fire engine, an engine that can pump 1,500 gallons per minute. Out of it, it's holding 1,000 gallons of water, something that 200 years ago they would kill to have 200 or 1,000 gallons of water sitting next to them. So it's even those advancements that have been absolutely incredible. And then you can get into extrications and all the other stuff.
Oh, wow. Would you be able to share one of the biggest fire scenes that you have experienced and what it's just like in that moment?
We had a fire one time. A family had built on a few extensions onto their home, and unfortunately, one part of the house set on fire. So we arrived on scene and it spread a lot faster than we had expected it to because of those extensions. They had added multiple roofs and it was making its way through the roof into the other extended areas, but we weren't able to access the walls because of the way that they had built everything. So we went from what was going to be a regular residential structure fire. We're pulling 1 or 2 lines maybe to a fire where we now need 3 different engines pumping water in multiple different directions, trying to put this out. It's breaching through the roof. And to see coordinated attacks with multiple people there, you have 20, 30 personnel on scene, but everybody's on the same page, operating the way that we've been trained from the beginning. It's an amazing thing and a true testament to the progression of the fire service.
Now, talk about true testament. You have built Fire Department Chronicles, your online persona, around humor and having fun and addressing the mental health and the concerns of first responders and the issues around them. Tell us a little bit about your inspiration behind that.
It just, the guys and girls getting around, messing around, having a great time with each other. About 10 years ago now is when it started. And we made a few videos and I was like, wow, people actually enjoy this, and kind of started growing it more and more and more over time, and just saw that there was a general enjoyment in what we see and do every single day and people genuinely enjoying it. And then I had people messaging me about the mental health piece of it, saying that it really helped them. And I had my own struggles at one point in time. And I learned that just sometimes talking is one of the best things you can do. Talking to your brothers and sisters or people that you've never met before about the things that you've seen and heard. And it's sometimes just the validation of saying that was a very hard thing to see. It's an incredible thing. But side question, in high school, I was not a good kid. I was all over the place, but you were a volunteer firefighter. That's amazing.
I was in the Philadelphia area, outside in the suburbs. I joined a fire department called Gladman Fire Department, and I went through all of the training. I was one of the youngest and definitely the shortest firefighters. But what an experience, and learning, not only about the camaraderie and the teamwork around it, but the physical nature of it. And you spoke about, when your heart raises and your heartbeats raise and you are in the moment and the stress. I remember being in a situation, a practice simulation, and, I had to drag people 3 times my size out of a building. And it's amazing what that power, where it comes from that you didn't know. And, it's fight or flight. Like, you just jump in there and it's survival.
Yeah, but that's so cool because most people in high school have no clue what they want to do, let alone go out there and put their life on the line as a volunteer firefighter. That's very, very cool.
Well, if you need me to come to Florida and grab the HUMAT off the truck and tap a plug, I got you. I still remember how to do that. I'm glad I can still remember that jargon.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
Now, I did want to ask you about Fire Department Coffee as well. What is the basis behind that?
So we founded it for a mission of giving back to sick and injured firefighters. The first blend that gave back was to a childhood burn camp, and then we saw how much people appreciated that, and we loved being able to give back. So we give back to sick and injured firefighters. We've done it since its inception. We also have a disaster response fire truck. It's the Fire Department Coffee fire truck. It's called Rescue One. We've responded out to the California fires, wildfires, hurricanes. We get out there. We give people coffee, dry socks, just a place to charge their phones, watch TV. It's an incredible thing. We love giving people coffee and stuff that they need to stay caffeinated, but also to give back to those that deserve it.
Disasters like a fire really do touch so many people, and you never expect it. Nobody expects to be, part of a situation like that. What's one of the farthest places that you've had somebody reach out to you, whether it's a location far away or just somebody you never expected who was affected by your social media?
So every year I go to something called the Fire Department Instructors Conference, FDIC. It's in Indianapolis. It's massive. 45,000 first responders come together. And I get to meet people all the time. And I had a firefighter from Japan and a firefighter from China. They came up to me, and I think they spoke about 50 words of English. And both of them said, "Hey, you're a part of all of our lives. Every firefighter in our area watches your videos." And I was like, that is insane. Yeah. So, but Russia, Germany, like all over the world, people enjoy the videos. Cause I've always said my videos, I'm not unique. I'm one of every firefighter and paramedic out there. We all experience the same things, and we can thankfully laugh together.
Well, we know you're not the only one out there, but you are one of the best. And we're so happy that your videos have risen to the top of the algorithm and shown everybody out there how important it is to support first responders, as they are saving lives every moment of the day. And we need to support them and give them all of the accolades that they deserve. And hey, it started right here in Philadelphia with the first volunteer fire company. And we're proud of that. And thank you and all of your brethren for everything that you guys do.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on this week's journey through Philadelphia's firsts. Follow us on social media using @52FirstsPhilly. And if you enjoyed it, please share it with somebody who you know loves a good origin story. We'll see you next week.